I follow. So initially we'll focus more on how the language and certain words and certain expressions that you'll be using on a daily life sounds like without getting into the grammar and the technicality of it. Okay, and then we'll slowly move forward to the structure and the grammar part of the language. So today, I just want to quickly give you a glimpse of what the language sounds like. You know, in terms of like learning the special vowels that it has, the consonants that it has. So we'll deal with few alphabets and the vowel sound system of Finnish and few expressions, just to quickly give you a glimpse of what it sounds like, what it looks like. Okay, and what I'll do today is I'll break down the pronunciation as well for few words so that it will give you a better understanding. So and I'll also copy paste everything that I'm saying here so that there is some visual reference for you, so you can note down everything that I send in the chat box. Okay, it will work as a notes for you. So, for example, to begin with, uh, any sound, in any language system. So, as we know, Finnish is belongs to the common European framework of the languages. Like it follows the framework of European language. So, mostly in what happens in a language like this, uh, first we use the Latin script, how we write and in English, and most of the pronunciation rules that we are aware of in English will you'll see a part of that in Finnish as well. So it is written like English, like Latin. This script, what you follow in English, you'll be following here as well. There are few differences that comes with you know a specific geography that we'll discuss later. But usually, what we write, that what we say, what we write are very uh, parallel to each other. It's not like you write something else and pronounce something else. There are few rules. Once you learn them, it becomes quite easy for you to deal with the pronunciation. For example, to give you an example, from the Finnish keyboard. So I'll be copy pasting everything that I'll explain. Okay, I'll break down each and every word pronunciation for you to understand better. Please note them down. So to deal with the alphabets, first we'll go through the vowels. What are the family of vowels look like in Finnish? So, as you know, in English, it's A, E, I, O, U. We have the same vowels in Finnish as well, but we have few extra vowels that we will deal with. Uh, Let me write it for you. So, A, E, I, O, U is what you are aware of. A, E, I, O, U. And then there are three extra, which is written like this. Once you understand how the vowels sound, I mean, vowels are pure sound. There is no obstruction and they never change. The sound of the vowel will never change. Once, like other consonants, they tend to change with the combination, like what kind of sound combination we are following here. Like in every language, what happens here as well. But once you understand, in every language, the sound of vowel never changes. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So there, as you can see, there are eight vowels. Now, what are those? What are the sounds of this unchanging, like these unchanging sounds? What they sound like in Finnish? So once you understand which sound, which letters these vowels stand for, which sound. So whenever they appear in any word, you have to make sure that this exists. Okay, so it is easy for you to recall the pronunciation. Once you know what vowel stands for what, it's easy for you for every word to recall the sound, because if any vowel is present there, you know that this sound has to come there. Okay, so this gives you like an anchor point for you to hold on to while learning the pronunciation. Okay, so I'll quickly write each and every vowel sound with examples so that you can note them down along with me. So the first is like A. The pronunciation is very much like how when we say like father, ah, father, ah. This A sound, the sound of this letter is ah. Okay, and to give you an example, like I'll give you a better example. Like there's a word in Finnish. Look at the word. You will pronounce it as auto in English, right? But it is actually a Finnish word which means car. And the pronunciation is auto, auto. This is what the pronunciation will look like. Let me write it for you. Let me break down the pronunciation for you. Auto, which means car. And this is just an example, but the sound is ow to, ow to. Okay, so the R sound is for the is what to retain every time it comes anywhere. Ow to. Let me give you more examples. Like the next is E, but a it's a cleaner E. Like how you said, but the sound in Finnish would be A. Like how you say bed, A. Just little bit stretch it, A. Okay. For example, like there's a word in Finnish, vesi, vesi, which means water, vesi. So to give that extension, I'm adding H to the sound. So, but the sound is A, like in bed, A. Just little bit you have to stretch it, and it becomes A, and that is the Finnish vowel. What you call E in English, A in uh, in Finnish. So this is what it looks like, and the meaning is water, water. Auto, vesi, and the third is what you call I in English. It sounds E, like C when you say C. How you stretch the E sound, that becomes the Finnish E, which is I. I in English, E in Finnish. To give you an example, like there's a word in Finnish called kiitos, kiitos, which means thank you. So this is how we write it. Thank you. So A, E, A, A, E. So see, If you see the pattern, we are basically what we are. These are very also very Spanish and Latin sounds. Okay, the if somebody has any experience in learning Spanish, they can relate. These sounds are very Spanish in nature and Latin, the Spanish spoken in the Latin America. They tend to also extend the sounds. Okay, so and there's a slight her to it, just for the extension. A, e, auto, vesi, quitos, car, water, thank you. These three words they stand for. Then comes the fourth one. What you call O in English, it remains the same in Finnish as well. O. O. It's just little sharper. For example, omena, 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 which means it's a fruit, apple. Okay, omena. So in all these words, you can see uh, the pronunciation of vowels. We are only focusing on the pronunciation of vowels right now. In all these words, there is no change. They are pure sound. They remain pure. There is no change, no matter what the combination is. A remains a, auto. E remains e, quitos. O remains o in omena. Okay. Then what you call U in English, it becomes like extended U, just like in A. U. Again, you just extend it little bit. For example, there's a word in Finnish, uusi, uusi, u, a slight her, which you can choose not to use. Not everywhere you have to add the her sound, but it just gives a feeling of extended sound, extension. Ooh, ooh, see. Okay, there's a this sound which means new, anything new. Ooh, see, new. Auto, vesi, itos, omena, usi is new. So we are done with five vowels that we do in English. A, E, I, O, U. A, E, O, U. Okay. Now these three extra vowels that you see in Finnish are very specific to the language. They only have they only belong to the Finnish language system. Like they have created these three extra sounds. Okay. Again, they are somewhere they are combination of the sound that already exists. Okay. For example, this one, A with two dots that you see. How you say cat? Cat. What is the sound of A in that word? Cat. A. A. Not a. A. Like, let me write it for you. Like A in cat, you remember that. Like apple, like cat. So see, there's a distinctive sound of A, which becomes A, like A in cat or apple. So to give you a word in Finnish with this, for example, now in this word there are two vowels. The same vowels comes two times, so the sound remains same. Nal ke, nal ke. It means hunger. So this one. So just to give you an example, the sound doesn't change. The vowel of the sound of the vowel doesn't change. So if you see, the vowel has come twice in the same word, and but the sound of the vowel remains same. As I just explained, the sound is a, not a in the earlier. It's just a variation of that vowel. Okay. To give an example, like cat and apple, how the a sound appears there is the sound of this symbol in Finnish. A, nal, ka. Okay. There, see, there are few exceptions as well that you will come across. I'm just giving you few ideas that are very generally available, but you will definitely encounter few concepts, few sounds, because there are a lot of concepts and sounds are also borrowed from other languages. You know, not every language, no language is purely made, you know, it's pure, it's a combination of borrowed systems and borrowed words. So you'll definitely come across certain ideas, certain pronunciation which will not be following what I'm saying here, but there are very few exceptions that we will always discuss if there are any, whenever it comes. Okay, but these are some general ideas that I'm discussing. Now the next one is O with the two dots. Like we sound it as O only, but it here in this case when the two dot comes, it becomes a slight as elongated oo, oo, not O, purely O, but you have to say it like oo, rounding your lips. For example, I'll give you a, like there's a Finnish word called you, which means night. You. It is written as, first I'll write the sound, then I'll give you an example, which means night. You, you. So oo, so a, oo, and the last one is like e. Very much like how you say e in English, just little bit of. So when you'll hear a native speaking this, like how a native will pronounce this sound as with a slight O to it, like when you round your lips, but you still try to say E. So E, like this, E. It becomes, for example, there's a word in Finnish, yksi, yksi, which means one, the digit one. First write it for you. So it is pronounced as E with a slight O to it. When you round your lips, it automatically comes like that. E, like E. Okay. Which means ICSI is the digit 1. Okay. Now, once you know what all the vowels sound like, the next obvious step is learning all the consonants. But when the consonants comes into play, then what you have to do it will also try the sound combination. Like if we place one vowel with another consonant, how the sound behaves. Okay, that is how the pronunciation is made for any language. There's a combination of consonant and vowels where the actual pronunciation will emerge. Okay, in any language. So we'll deal with that in the when we start the session. But like in English, it's A E I O U. In Spanish, it's A E I O U. In Latin, it's A E O U, then A, then U, then EU. Okay. These are the eight vowels in in Finnish. So to give you few, I want to give you few examples of like everyday phrases and expressions. See what they look like along with the pronunciation I'll give you. Try to practice them, try to say them, just to create some familiarity with the language. Because once the familiarity comes, which will happen in a course of three to 4 days. Initially, it's not very easy to grab a new language. I can understand that, but once you become familiar with the sounds, with few expressions, with how each and everything is pronounced, okay, and when they come together, what they look like visually and phonetically both, when you see the language and hear the language, uh, then the learning happens, start happening. So when then I will, whatever concepts I'll teach you, it will be easier for. So I'm not teaching any grammatical or any structural concepts or in the beginning. So for example, whatever expressions I'll teach, I will just try to remember them as sounds. Okay, don't bifurcate them into grammar, or don't even try to remember the vocabulary of the word. Try to remember the whole sentence as one sound initially. For example, what I'm trying to tell you here is like, let me give you few. Okay, let's start with these hi, hello, good morning kind of. So, for example, hi, how are you? If I have to say, hi, how are you? Now, hi, how are you? In English, you are, you once the first word you have used a greeting word, hi. Then you are asking a question, how are you? You have structured an interrogative there because you are aware of the language. But since Finnish is new to me, any foreign language is new to me, initially I'll try to remember the sound of hi, how are you? Rather than knowing what is hi here, what is how here, what is are here, what is you here. Okay. For example, so hi, how are you? Looks like this. Okay. Let me write it for you. Hello, hi, how are you? But the pronunciation is, let me break down the pronunciation in brackets so that you can try the pronunciation on your own. So for example, I see, try to see and try the pronunciation on your own. I have broken down the pronunciation of hi mita kulu. Hi is hello. Mita, mita, kulu. Okay. Let's not get into the technicality of the pronunciation as well right now here. So right now, just try to remember the sound of the language, a sound of this expression. Hi, Mitakulu. Hi, Mitakulu. Hi, how are you? Mitakulu. Now, for example, I'll give you good evening, good morning, good afternoon, all of that. Try to remember them as sounds. So, good morning in Finnish is Huva, huomonta, Huva, huomenta. Now, it is written in a certain way. In the bracket, you'll find the breakdown of the pronunciation. That is not the Finnish. The Finnish is towards the left, and to the right is the breakdown of pronunciation. Huva, huomenta, which means good morning. Then you can add things, good morning teacher, good morning student, good morning everyone. All of that we can add after that. Good afternoon. Who wa is good. Now that you can recall, like in good morning, it's who wa is good. Again, who wa pai wa. Good afternoon. It can also stand for just have a good day kind of expression as well. It works both. So who wa pai wa is good afternoon. This is what it looks like. Good evening. Again, who wa is good. Now that you can make few guesses. Who wa ilta. Ilta is what? Evening. This is what the pronunciation will look like once you break down. Who wa ilta. Good evening. Okay. You can little bit, we can uh, just try to remember them. Don't bifurcate the vowel, the sound of vowels that I have learned, we have just learned. Try to no, treat it as a separate concept. When we meet in the next time, try to remember these sounds. Huwa paiwa, huwa huo menta, hai meta kulu, mita kulu, huwa ilta. Now these are some sounds for you. Huwa ilta, huwa paiwa, huwa huo menta, hai meta kulu, meta kulu. Hi, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. These are some sounds. So if you look at the sound, if you look at the combination of these sound system, it's very different from English. We have not even heard of it. These sounds, and precisely that is why the language learning becomes very difficult, because we are not very comfortable with the sound. So it's very important for the first few sessions to really get comfortable with the sound, the ideas of the sound, how they function, what is the function of each vowel and the consonants, so that once the sound, you're comfortable with the sound, it becomes easier for you to recall and remember the words. It cannot happen otherwise. Okay. So the pronunciation and the introduction to few expressions will go hand in hand. So for example, when we start the next session, we'll start with the idea of pronunciation in Finnish, which will cover alphabets and this, and I'll repeat whatever I have done today, the sound system of vowels. This was just a quick glimpse. We'll do it in detail, and along with everyday expressions. Like when you meet someone for the first time, what kind of questions you ask, what kind of expressions you use, the greetings, the salutations, all of that. Okay, and then we move forward to the next session. Okay, once the pronunciation is sorted, little bit we are aware of the sound system, then we can start dealing with few vocabulary and few concepts of Finnish. Okay, guys. So this was just a quick glimpse about what the language sounds like. Uh, so hopefully, whenever we start, we'll carry forward from here. Any questions, Lalit?